Hey guys, this is Mayday Parade here. This is our track by track of our new album, What It Means to Fall Apart.
That one was pretty much, it was kind of like a song that was written about missing Warp Tour. That was just kind of generally where the dialogue went with that one. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to wake up. My brain's a little foggy, but yeah, Derek, what were you gonna say?
Oh yeah. So Jake put together the demo of that song, and yeah, it's just I think immediately we all thought it was a strong track, really high energy and right, yeah, we've spent some of the best summers of our lives on Warp Tour. We did it. This is going to sound a lot, but 2006, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016, and 2018. So that's many summers of our lives out there, and
It's just a few.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing else in the world like Warp Tour. It's such a unique experience, and right, I think that's kind of what Jake was going for there with Kids of Summer. Is
Thank
just
you.
kind of
Yeah, thank
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say my favorite part of it was the music video we shot for it, because we had everything planned to go to Jeremy's lake house, and we all thought it was going to be this really like nice and warm experience. And it ended up being like super cloudy and cold, and we were jumping to the lake. We're just like, oh God, it's supposed to look like summer, but it's not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, still had a good time though.
Yeah, it was still a good time. That water slide.
Golden Days is a song, I guess, sort of born out of the frustration and stress of dealing with the pandemic and everything being so uncertain, and us not being able to do what we love doing and what we've done for so long. And so it's yeah, a lot of it's like dealing with sort of the pain of that, but I like to think that it also on top of that is kind of a hopeful song, and kind of has a hopeful outlook towards the future and better days that hopefully are soon ahead of us, and that's the basic gist of that one. I also, it's another song where I love kind of the energy of it and the vibe of it. It's kind of a mid-tempo song, but it's one that I really hope we get a chance to play soon. I think it'll be a lot of fun to play live, and just kind of feels good, even though a lot of the subject material of it is kind of sad and kind of the downer. I think it's still it'll be a fun song to play for sure.
Yeah, that song. I mean, I probably shouldn't tell you what the song's about, but I wrote that song about my dog, and she's getting in her later years, and she's just something I love her to death. But it was just one of those things where I was just like, man, I feel like I need to like wrap my head around making this more broad. And so that's kind of where it came. It started with my dog, but then ended up being just about, it could be about anything, person, place, thing. And it's just, yeah, about being hopeful and remembering all the good things about that person or place or whatever. And yeah. And one thing is, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just to kind of, to kind of expand on that, even though, obviously, Jake wrote about his dog. To me, I think it's a nice, so like obviously we're gone a lot of the time. We're on tour a lot, and we all have loved ones at home, whether it's, pets or family or friends or children or whatever. And it's a real, nice song about just missing those people and just how simple that idea is. I'll think about you every day, is such a nice thought. And so that's kind of what I take out of it. But yeah.
I was gonna say, you earlier, Derek, you mentioned our demoing has gotten better, and what I think is really cool about this song is some of the audio that was in the actual demo was used in the real real stuff, like all the whistles that you hear. That was Cabby and I collaborating through I don't even know, like through like Pro Tools or whatever. And he sent me these whistles for the song, and I just dropped them in, edited them up or whatever. And that's actually the whistles we used. We in the studio. He never re-sang those or re-whistled those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that song was written as kind of like a hopeful song to people that have been in tough situations, and kind of letting them know that the band is there for them, like our music is there to kind of pull them out of that, or us individually, they can always reach out to us. So I just wanted to make sort of more of a hopeful song that kind of pulled from those instances of being depressed, or if people are just kind of any hard time, I guess people are going through, that we're there for them. That's kind of what that song's really about.
Yeah, and one thing I love about that song is I love how we try to keep our albums kind of diverse, and that's definitely like the rock song. It's like the heaviest song on the album. It's got the riff, it's got the guitar solo, and it kind of feels like we did the Black Lines album that was darker and heavier like that, and I love that some of that still kind of carries forward, and that we continue to do songs like that, but it also doesn't feel too out of place. Like I feel like it works well within the album, and it's a cool song.
Yeah, it sits somewhere between like a Black Lines track and like a Black Cat, then it totally works within the realm of what we've done in the past. That song was, there's a lot of interesting things about it, or at least it was to me when I was working on it. I had more so recently worked on messing with piano, and that opens up a whole new world of sounds and vibes. So I kind of landed on an organ thing, and that was another one, like Jake mentioned, where we had been doing demos. We do them, a lot by ourselves at home, and then bring them in. And that was another one where we ended up using the organ sound from what I had demoed originally, because it didn't feel quite right, the sounds that we were using in the studio. I guess before I talk about that, I should mention, the song is, you could obviously tell it's kind of like a relationship thing. It doesn't speak directly to anyone, I suppose. It was kind of all the frustrating relationships I had in the past, put together kind of thing. Like the chemicals, is kind of like this analogy for like a toxic relationship, but also I think it was a really cool combination of like the meaning when you're talking about the chemicals being this like a chemical love, like emotions and the chemicals that are reacting within your body, but is also an analogy for the toxic relationship part of it, which then kind of leads into the sideways, and kind of not being like how the chemicals and those things mess with your head, and you're not all there, you're just kind of like, I don't know, off kilter. But the other things that were really interesting about that song were I think I messed with that organ sound for, I don't know, maybe a day, kind of got like a vibe going with that, and then the song just kind of finished itself for the most part, verses and all, very quickly. That was probably all a day and a half. Like it could have even just all that been in one day. And then I felt like that was so good that what I had come up with in the first day, that I was like, I have to write a chorus that's going to balance this or feel just as good. And that was super, super difficult. I did have sort of like the sideways held outline from another track, and I had pulled that in, but I just couldn't join the verse to it. And I wrote 5 different choruses for that song before I settled on the one that is on the album. That was a really like fun and fast one, and then super frustrating on the end.
Yeah, so that's a song that I wrote, and is, basically about my kids and now at this point my daughter's 10 and my son is 5, and just kind of how quickly that all goes by and how quickly they grow up, and how when they move out of one phase of their life into the next, it happens so fast, and then it's gone forever, and it's a really sad thing, and so that's kind of the idea is sort of to make the most of that time that you have with them, because it's incredibly special, and that's basically the gist of it there. Yeah.
I remember. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
No, see what you're gonna say. Yeah, it's all good.
Me? No, I was gonna say the funnest, or the best part about that song in the studio was figuring out that bridge. We spent a good amount of time trying to figure that out. And I remember watching Derek's face, just like, don't change it, because he wanted that punk rock kind of like vibe in the bridge. And I remember some of us were just like, particularly me, is like, we've never done that before. I'm not sure, but there was a B version that was more mid tempo, and I remember being like super cool, and we were hashing it out. You're like, play this, and then listen to this, and it was just like just watching your face during that whole process. You were a trooper, but you hated it.
Oh, I was terrified. Well, and I knew when I sent that demo, because that song just kind of takes a complete left turn. And I knew, I was like, I love that it does. I think it's really cool, but I knew like some of the guys are not going to be into this, and they're going to want to change this if we track this song. And so, yeah, in the studio, that's always such a scary moment, because it's like, oh man, like I love this the way it is, and we're just going to completely mess it up. And it was a pretty split, I think it came down to like one person, like one way or the other. And so it kind of came close to changing, and I'm really glad that we didn't. I would have complained about it for years if you guys.
That is a soul crushing feeling, is when you've written something or you've heard something so long that you're married to it, and then you start trying to like pick it apart and change it, and you're just like, but it was good. It was already good.
Right. Yeah.
Bad at Love is a song about a relationship where one person's giving it their all and the other person's kind of just taking it for granted, and just how in those toxic relationships that you can you're sort of so infatuated with the person that you don't really care that they're like walking all over you. So it's kind of about that, and originally it started out as sort of a full band song with guitars and a lot more like a normal Mayday song, but then we kind of stripped it down to piano and made it because it was going in the poppy direction. So we're like, well, let's just take it all the way there. We haven't done anything that's like a pop sort of song, so let's just see what we can do and how it turns out. And I like the way it ended up. I think it was really cool and different for what we normally do, so it makes it unique to the record.
Yeah, I feel like we really experimented on sounds with this one as well. Like we were doing like super smash drums and some of the verses. We were just playing around with a bunch of different sounds we've never really used before. A lot of synthesizers and.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things that was a lot of fun with that one, was that a lot of the songs you do are pretty straightforward. We've recording with Zach and Ken in particular, with a lot of these songs, we're kind of like exactly what you're doing and what to expect. And when you do a song like Bad at Love, it's new territory, and it's kind of outside of your comfort zone, and it's a lot of fun to like Jake said, experiment and try out new things. It's a really good time. So that one basically is, at this point, after we've been a band for 16 years and the amount of touring that we've done, I'd say that for the most part, every single show that we play, pretty much no matter where it is in the world, you're gonna see people that you recognize in the audience, and whether you know them by name or not, you're gonna see these people that have been there for years and have been coming to shows and supported the band for such a long time. And it's basically kind of a love letter to those folks that have been there and done so much for us throughout the years. And That's the basic idea, I suppose.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
I thought you wrote that about me, but okay. But I guess
That's
technically you did.
That's a secret, Chip.
And
You
then
can't
other
tell anybody.
people, yeah.
But
Cool.
it's another one that like there's not a lot of upbeat high energy songs on this album. It's a little more ballad heavy and a lot of like mid tempo, and so I'm really glad that it kind of serves that higher energy upbeat and also more just kind of classic Mayday Parade kind of sound, and so I'm glad that one made it on the album. So Heaven started as a song that Alex sent over. It was a demo that Alex sent over that was a full, song with verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, the whole thing. Is a really, really cool track. And but in particular, the line, "It feels like heaven the way you put me through hell," I thought was like one of the coolest sections of any of these demos that anybody had sent. And I just kind of found myself going back and listening to that part of the song in particular just so many times. And so I kind of had the idea of taking that and making just a song, the idea originally was that it was going to be sort of an in-between transition sort of song. It ended up becoming, I'd say, something a little bit more than that. But hopefully Alex doesn't hate that that we did that and sort of changed his original vision for that. But yeah, I love that song. Again, that's one where we experimented a lot and kind of went outside of our comfort zone, and especially the second half of the song where it kind of switches into the more synth, pop, whatever kind of sound, more modern kind of thing. Yeah, samples and whatnot. That's something that we've not messed with a lot before. I think we were all kind of inspired by, we watched the Jimmy Eat World live stream of their album Clarity.
It was super inspired by it.
Right. Yeah. And that's my favorite album of all time. And there's a lot, that album is incredibly, experimental and has all these different sounds. And in particular, the last song on the album that goes on for a long time. And he does all the loop station, the loop pedal stuff with all the different vocals and the xylophone and all of that. And I think after us watching that, the next day we came in and really started diving into messing with the second half of Heaven. And that's such a fun thing to, try out those things that are just completely, it's new territory, which is kind of rare after 16 years of a band to experience anything that you consider new territory. And I love the way that song ended up turning out. It's really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed like how we kept going back to the session or whatever and pulling it up and like adding to the that sampled section. We're like, oh, I heard this, and you would go and add something, and then we would listen to it as a whole. I'm like, oh, I think that was cool. Yeah, and it just kept doing that, throughout the whole session, which was really nice.
Right. So that one is basically just about, without going, I guess, too in particular of, who it's about or whatever, but just a friend of mine who was struggling a lot, and it's really hard to see and really hard to watch, and just really being super concerned for that person, and that person is actually doing a lot better now, but at the time just kind of seeing how low things had got for that person and how difficult it was, and really being concerned about their well-being. And that's basically the gist of it. I'm really, it started as a clean electric guitar sound, and then we switched gears and tried it out on piano. And I think immediately from us playing through it once on piano was like that's got to be the move. And also just works really well with, that's something we've done so much before, and most of our albums do have that one kind of piano ballad on there, and so I think it really kind of serves that purpose well, and yeah, I like that song a lot. It means a lot to me.
I remember when you first sent over that demo. For me, I was just like, that's a good tune. But I also remember when we started talking about doing the piano thing, and I was just like, no, you got to do the guitar. It's so cool. It's so different than anything we've ever done. That's what I was set on. But yeah, like you said, as soon as you heard you sitting down with the piano and playing it, it was like, this, you have to do it this way. You have to. It was too good.
Mm-hmm.
So Alex wrote the song, and it's a song about just kind of, I don't know, what's the best way to explain it, Derek? How do you explain?
Alex, what do you think?
I mean, the original song was just kind of about being, kind of lost and trying to find relationships, and yeah, that was what the original idea was, and I guess it kind of still maintains that.
Right. Yeah, and then so I know Alex has sent the original idea of it, and I it's hard to remember how much of it changed with Cabbage's version.
I only changed the verse. I didn't change anything else.
Okay. Yeah. It's been a while. It's hard to remember, but that's another one that like just kind of feels a little bit different from anything else on the album. It's a little bit quirky, kind of. And has this kind of like poppy kind of happiness to the sound of it that's just that's pretty unique and pretty different from anything else. And I think again, it's a song that kind of rocks a little bit harder than most of the other songs on the album. It's a cool track.
That one, it's roughly about, I mean, it's about, being in a relationship and just kind of realizing that what you thought was great isn't as great as you once thought it was. And just coming to terms with it. And it's probably the most honest song I've ever kind of put together. But I remember having this, I had the guitar riff, which is kind of what you hear in the beginning. I was just like, man, this is really cool. And then like the whole thing just kind of organically happened like relatively quickly. And I remember demoing it, sitting on it for a while, showing some friends and going like, I think the guys would be into this. And sure enough,
yeah,
you guys were.
Yeah, it's a real strong song. And that's the first song that we recorded going back to, I want to say we recorded that song in 2019. Am I wrong? I think it was,
I think you're right.
Like late. It was before we recorded the 3 songs from the Out of Here EP that came out last year. So that one goes, kind of far back. And, I mean, it's an incredibly sad song. It's a very honest song, and just felt like a really nice way to cap off the album and end with a just really strong ballad like that. And yeah, I think people have been, I've been asking people what songs are their favorites, and that one comes up a lot for sure. So yeah.